Now, when I began quite some time ago thinking about what we can do here to unseat the Bilderbergs, who had made a deal, you have to understand what's been going on here in Texas all these years. The deal was made to put in Rick Perry as a successor to George Bush by Karl Rove. That was 10 years ago. Since then, Rick Perry has been land-grabbing, forcing vaccinations on little girls. They tried the new Freedom Initiative, which would be the forced testing and drugging of our children here in Texas. We had to fight, and we won those battles. Meanwhile, Rick Perry is running off to Bilderberg meetings. We looked high and low for somebody to run against these vampires to get our state back, because that was our number one priority. Yes, I continued to go on and investigate the issues of 9/11. Yes, we continued to go on and to help get the truth out about what didn't happen on 9/11. No, we didn't take sides with the no-planers, controlled demolition, MIHOP or LIHOP. None of these people agree, and they all hate each other. That's the 9/11 truth movement, and I say that with the greatest sympathy. So about 2 years ago, we began thinking about what we were going to do, and we went through a number of different choices for candidate. People were actually suggesting Chuck Norris be our candidate. No. I love some things about Chuck, but I heard all these suggestions. Finally, we got to Deborah Medina, who was the county chair for the Republican Party, who was part of an effort to infiltrate and take over, change the platform, and turn the Republican Party on its head, which is exactly what the Ron Paul Revolution was all about. We tried for years third parties, never got more than 1 or 2% of the vote. Run some amazing candidates like Michael Bednarik, my friend. And we could never get anywhere near it. Finally, as we settled on Deborah Medina, we went forward. That was more than a year ago. Day in, day out, hour by hour, sometimes 24-hour days. And we found ourselves in the exalted position of actually being in the race. Of course, Deborah sealed this with her amazing, outstanding performances at the two debates, where she humiliated and embarrassed both Kay Bailout Hutchison and Rick Perry. And the momentum was ours. This was ours to lose. There's plenty of blame to share. The fact that I'm having this conversation on a national radio program, I guess international if you count everybody around the world listening to us today, is not what I want to do. 1 week before the election, you get Medina, you get me too. And there are people here in Texas that have been trying to put me out for years. One of those people is Alex Jones. Now, I've kept my mouth shut. I have taken the high road every single time. I have never used my show or my website to attack other activists of any kind, whether I disagree with them or not, or whether they have been actively out working to blackball me or not. I kept my head down and kept my work going and tried to be cheerful and positive and inspiring as much as I possibly could, while giving you the information that you need to talk to your loved ones, your coworkers, people on the street. But now I find myself in the unusual position of having to hit back. Because I do not agree with the last the 24 to last 48 hours of brutal attacks against Deborah Medina for not answering the question, for agreeing with a neocon and trying to get herself back on message and back on track. Now, if you've not heard of any of this, again, I hate to have to talk about it, but I'm going to spend at least the first part of the show doing it. I'm going to take your calls, 512-879-3805. I'm not asking you to take sides. See, that's not something I do. That's something that people like Alex Jones do. If you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. If you don't do everything I say, if you don't make sure I'm number one, if you don't answer every call, if you don't do everything I say, I'm putting you out. And let me tell you, folks, that's exactly what happened to me 2 years ago at Edna Lane Brown's front yard. When I got a call from my wife, she said one of our friends had been put out of his house. The sheriffs had come, put him out of his house. He had nowhere to live. Now, I don't know what you would do if you got a call like that, but I assume many of you, you big-hearted patriots, would take the person in. Would not turn your nose up to him and shut your door in his face. Now, of course, I'm on the ground in New Hampshire, and I say, yes, by all means. We got you, which is what I try to do for my friends. I was told by Alex Jones, in no uncertain terms, that I was not allowed to do this because he had a problem with this person who was one of his former employees. And that if I did that, I would be cutting my own throat. Now, this is a guy that for the last few years had called me late at night and talked about how we have to get people that don't agree with him. What we can do behind the scenes to attack people in the liberty movement and take them out because they were causing him due grievance. That he felt threatened by them for some reason. And a lot of times it was just because they didn't follow orders. They didn't worship enough. One night I was sitting with Daniel Abramson in my kitchen, and Jones didn't know we were together, called us both, tried to play us off against each other. We were sitting at the same table. I mean, this kind of thing would happen over and over and over again. I found myself blackballed in the movement. One day, in 2008, just before another election, when I had spent almost all of my airtime and my expense on a broken leg, by the way, trying to warn people about Barack Obama, I was fired from every single radio station all at once. Even though they weren't owned by the same person, somehow I was off air in one day. 2 months ago, as I'm working myself back and getting the show back on the radar here, picked up a great station, KTAE, 5,000-watt station here in Texas. I was on that station approximately 2 weeks before Alex Jones called and threatened the station to either take me off or there was going to be trouble. There was financial remunerations involved. See, I don't want to say all of this. I never wanted to say all of this. But I've finally been pushed too far, because when I have to measure the cult of personality and the cult of celebrity in a multi-million-dollar operation against freedom and liberty for Texas, I don't have a problem picking sides if I've been forced to do so. And I should have never been forced to do so. So I understand that a lot of people are very upset with me taking this position. People are going to be really upset when they hear some of the things I'm saying and will say on this broadcast today. What I'm telling you is that what comes from Alex Jones Corp is not honest. He is not an honest broker. He could care less, really, about Texas, about liberty, about the Republic, about 9/11 truth. I watched in the office as he was out of town once, and I was covering for him. Again, this is a story I've never even told my friends. And he had some kind of a special where if you bought right now, you would get an autographed copy of a video or something. And they ran out of autographed copies. I watched as some of the office workers signed the videos, Alex Jones. That's right. You got videos with Alex Jones's autograph on it. It's not even his autograph. It was from one of his employees in the office who forged it. So you'd buy it. That is not a person of integrity, folks. And you watch the spin that goes on. The headlines, the spin, the jumping to conclusions. For years, I propped up Alex Jones. For years, I had to answer for his behavior. Make excuses for it. The guy's dangerous. He's dangerous to freedom. He's dangerous to any cohesive movement. He's dangerous to anything that doesn't exalt him as the king. So I sympathize with you. I understand that this is confusing for people. These people aren't your friends. These people do not have your best interest at heart. All we've done is walk up to another camp. Ready to pitch our tents, ready to stay there and defend that camp against all evil, whether right or wrong, whether good or evil. Now, I'm not just, a maggot out here. I'm not just somebody that, is online that listens to this stuff. I was inside. I hosted that show, okay? Many of you remember. In fact, I'm going to play a clip here in a second. I hosted the Alex Jones Show many, many, many times. And it was then that I figured out that they'll say anything to get hits on their website. They don't care. In fact, this whole brouhaha right now with Deborah Medina is probably driving even more people over there. Probably getting record numbers of listeners and because people love to see a good fight. Even when their very freedom is at stake. That's what you're betting. So I've been in your shoes. I tried to look the other way. I tried to work within the confines. I bought into it.